Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Rudy Borman, and I am the OGP Deputy Director in the Open Government Partnership. It's a pleasure to be here with you today on this specific session where we are going to talk and go in local. As you know, OGP has launched in 2019 after the Canadian Summit an expansion of their local strategy after a few years focusing mainly on countries, and we are excited of this new chapter. On behalf of OGP, I would like to first thank all our panelists. I'm happy to share that this is going to be a panel with all women. We are going to tackle a few conversations with different parts of the world, and we are live. This is a not pre-recorded message. We are currently live. Before starting, I want to take this opportunity to make an important announcement that beginning today, OGP will launch a new call for expression of interest to join OGP Local in 2022. 50 new seats will be available to join OGP Local next year. This call is part of our expansion, at the local level. As you know, we started with 5 pioneers. We expanded to 20, 76 next year. And we are now today launching this new call. And if you go into the OGP website, you will find all the information to start your application to join OGP Local. So thank you very much. Very exciting news for us. Also aligned with the signature that we had yesterday of a memorandum of understanding between OGP and UCLG that marks another important and relevant expansion of the local strategy within OGP. Okay, so without further delay, let's jump into the session. We're going to have 60 minutes to talk to this distinguished group of local leaders from government and civil society, and to know a little bit more about what's happening at the local level, where services and impact of reforms are more clear, more easier to measure, more easier to follow. Let me introduce our panelists today. I want to start with the General Secretary of Bogotá, Ms. Margarita Barraquer Sourdis, with more than 20 years of professional practice in public and private non-profit entities of the social sector. Her work has been focused on promoting the rights of vulnerable populations in the country. Before this position, she was Director of Social Integration at the Secretariat of Bogotá, Deputy Director at the Colombian Institute of Family Welfare, General Director of the National Agency for Overcoming Extreme Poverty, and Executive Secretary of the Alliance for Colombian Children in Bogotá. Welcome, Margarita, that is stepping today for Mayor Lopez, who couldn't be with us participating today. So thank you, Margarita. From Indonesia. Sí, Margarita. From
thank you very much, Rudy.
Thank you, Margarita. Thank you. Let me finalize. We'll have also Itza Priyanti, Regent of Breves Regency. Ms. Priyanti is the first female regent in Breves Regency. She started her career in government as deputy director, regent for the period 2007 to 2012. She became regent in the 2012-2017 period. Currently, this is her second term of leadership as regent in Breves until 2022. During her tenure, she pays attention to effective and collaborative governance and support transparent participation, innovative and inclusive governance. Welcome, Regent Priyanti, to this conversation representing Indonesia. and representing local governments, particularly in Indonesia. We have also Stephanie Mushai, or Steph Mushai, for all of us who know her, Director of Partnerships, International Lawyers Projects, and member of the steering committee. She is a seasoned governance professional, currently serving as Director of Partnership for the International Lawyers Project, where she works to support transparent and accountable government, a robust and enabling civic space, access to justice, and community partnership. She has worked extensively toward open governance, public accountability, and active citizenship. And Steph will help us bring the voice and vision of civil society and her experience in that vast and rich space that is the Africa MENA region in OGP. And finally, we have Minister Victoria Cena Aburgas. She's the Ministry of Foreign Action and Open Government of Catalonia, Spain. She has led the Public-Private Partnership Task Force at the World Economic Forum on the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance on Technology Governance. She also co-chaired the Consultation and Outreach Group at the Council of Europe Artificial Intelligence Committee and coordinating the post-COVID-19 strategy promoted by the government of Catalonia. And let me say, one of those young innovation leaderships around the world in public innovation. Victoria, it's a pleasure to have you with us here today. So let's jump to the question. Welcome everyone, and we are going to start. And I'm going to begin with a question that it's same question for all of you. And of course, this question is regarding COVID-19. No, we approach to 2 years of this pandemic. And we are seeing new and innovative ways in which government, society, and citizens are collaborating and co-creating, especially at the local level, with civil society and citizens to promote open government values of access to information, civic participation, and public accountability. We have seen a lot of innovation. We are also seeing a lot of challenges. But I would like to hear from you. If you can tell us a little bit about examples on your context, on your organizations around the pandemic. I'm going to start with Secretary Barraker, please.
Rudy, thank you very much. First of all, I'm very thrilled to be in this panel with Itza, with Stephanie, and with Victoria. I love being in panels with women because we can talk about our different perspectives and we can teach and learn a lot of things. So thank you very much for inviting us to this panel. I am going to switch to Spanish in order to answer the question. Nos preguntas entonces que cuáles son.
Okay. So now, let me address the question, which was what we have been doing in relations to open government. What we have been doing to facilitate public participation. I believe that was the question. And here, I would like to make some comments. In Bogota, we have been promoting a new governance model, and we have been showing different scenarios and possibilities of the new government model to our citizens. And we have adopted the new governance model and strategy. And this has been made public and made official by putting it in our city strategy. And now we have put in place various resources to implement this strategy. And in doing so, we were able to increase civic participation in Bogota. And there are several open government principles that we are upholding, especially when it comes to land planning and zoning. We have incorporated the open government policy principles as the city is continuously improving its urban environment. We are trying to include the open government principles, and we're also trying to achieve sustainable development goals. So we once again would like to say that open government principles have been a key pillar in our city administration. And we have been working to improve access to information. And in this process, OGP has been a very important platform. And we believe that civil participation and transparency and co-creation are crucial, and we have introduced various tools to achieve these. But it is not only applied at the government level, but also at the civil society level. We have opened up a platform where more than 30,000 visits have been recorded. And this means that we have been pursuing the open government principles, and to do so, we have put emphasis on civic engagement and co-creation. And for citizens to be able to do so, we need to build capacity. So capacity building has been our priority as well. And we have been investing resources to strengthen the capacity of our citizens so that they can become more democratic citizens, and so that they can be more capable of utilizing technology and using public data. So we not only need the central government and the local government's commitment and will, but also we need the capacity of citizens. In other words, citizens should be capable of using these opportunities for civic participation. And we need to ensure that civic participation will be substantial and meaningful so that it can lead to actual results. And also, citizens' voices need to be reflected in government projects. So once again, as I said, we have introduced this platform for civil participation. And to be more specific, we have improved access to information, and we also focused on capacity building.
Marx, I will get back to you to ask you a little bit.
We are not hearing you, Rudy.
I'll get back to you because I would like to hear a little bit about the experience regarding COVID-19 fight in Bogota. But I will move now to Steph Mushai. Steph, can you help us a little bit with these questions? What are you seeing on COVID-19 response, but specifically why it's important to keep openness and trust in a moment where you really need to get citizens' attention, no, for a moment that it's crucial. And what's the role of non-governmental organizations in the context of this response to the pandemic? What are we learning? What are you seeing?
Thanks, Rudy. I like the note that you have started off on in terms of the trust. I think that's been a big part of the pandemic response is the expression has been a crisis of trust. And I think given the kind of exacerbated inequalities and challenges and marginalization that are being faced, I think that building up of that trust is really important for government, citizens, and civil society. What I'm observing that is a very good and positive response is a focus on access to justice. It's not a traditional focus with the local governments because a lot of it is a national government function. However, is noting local governments that are supporting and strengthening local stakeholders who are part of the public delivery of justice systems. And why this is really important at this time, it's more than having, you know, access to courts or legal representation. It's accountability. At this time, and the ability for people to seek remedies, which is really important at this time. So the principles of open government, transparency, civic participation, and public accountability to the justice system and the broad stakeholders, I think, is making or has potential to make a big impact at this time. So why do I think access to justice is important? I think there's a whole elephant of access to justice, but I think that the emphasis on the focus of the collaboration will help support cracks in public services at the local level, for which local governments have the most strength, will help support kind of the marginalization and the inequalities that have been brought to the fore. And we can very much use OGP values to improve the systems, the delivery, but also the protections, the oversight, and the accountability to the systems, and also just ensure, you know, civil and political rights are respected. Some good examples that I've seen of justice actors being strengthened. I think one specific area that we have seen in the pandemic go on the rise is, very unfortunately, the rise of gender-based violence, especially in countries where there is temporary lockdown responses by governments. And I think that Open Justice and the OGP platform can support this. One example of this is in Plateau, Nigeria, where they have committed to improving these kind of responses through the establishment of a Gender and Equal Opportunities Commission. And this will also serve not just to respond to gender-based violence issues happening at the local level, and which local governments have more connection to in support of this commission, but it will also support economic empowerment and discrimination and marginal participation of women with that regard. So I think that's a very good opportunity for local governments who are close to the people, who are close to the communities, to be able to partner and support kind of all the data collection, you know, legal capacity building for their communities and all of that. The second one, I think, which is linked to access to justice, is in Abuja, Nigeria. Now, the way that funds are being spent at this time is a really big concern for many. And a lot of the justice process, when we come to the end of it, if we don't address it at the beginning, marginalization, even in prioritization of, you know, local governments to have funding to do certain things, we come in at the tail end of the justice process. But at the beginning is the conversation on how funds are being allocated and whether they're being allocated fairly and in a just manner. I'm glad to see that Abuja, Nigeria is responding to this by a commitment that will ensure that budget processes are made available to citizens in an accessible and timely manner, so that they can make inputs into the budget cycle and into their areas and their needs, especially during this pandemic time, and in money that needs to be prioritized. In one area, it might be health. In one area, it might be education. In one area, it might be health services. And it's really important to have that voice, not just for women, but for members of communities. And in Abuja, Nigeria, they note about 50% of stakeholders, which is very high. That's half of stakeholders, are not effectively involved in the local government affairs in relation to budget processes and implementation. So I think these are really key areas, and I would laud the local governments of Nigeria for their work in this, in both Plateau and in Abuja. For the non-state actors, I think the opportunity that we have in partnership with governments, we do receive, for example, a lot of the statements of the victims, or are on the ground in terms of awareness of the incidences and the sufferings in the community, and we can collaborate in cross-sharing of data and bringing the information to the attention of the local governments. We can certainly partner in civic education, in legal empowerment, so that people understand their remedies and recourse with the justice actors. And we can certainly take a very strong stand and position in terms of supporting representation and voice as well. Those would be my thoughts, Rudy. Back to you.
Steph, thank you very much. And I will also get back to you to also think about the role of actors, non-governmental actors at the local level that are not necessarily organized civil society, right? To play. Thank you very much, Steph. We are going to move now to Regent Perillanti. I just a reminder to everyone that to every panelist that we have 2 to 3 minutes. There is a timer there. Mrs. Regent Perillanti, can you please share a little bit of what you have seen in Breves Regency regarding COVID-19 response and open government values? Can you please share a little bit of that with us, please?
Hello. Hello, Rudy. Secretary General Barake, Ms. Mushai, and also Minister Alcina Burke. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Indonesia. I will be presenting and commenting in Indonesian. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic that has been going on for almost 2 years, the Brebes Regency government constantly encouraging the effective governance through a collaboration and co-creation with civil society organizations and also the whole member of the community. The collaboration and co-creation that we are doing is to ensure the transparency of information, increase public participation, and public accountability to address crucial issues facing the community. One of our priority programs during this pandemic COVID-19 is the distribution of social aid, which serve as the social safeguard so that people affected by the COVID-19 can support their daily expenses and meet their daily end for the families. In the implementation, we face the main challenge, which is the non-optimal social data. This has led us to double data for the beneficiary. The Brebes Regency government, together with the civil society organizations and also the coalition of CSO, we oversee and make sure the fund for the COVID-19 can be allocated properly. And we also make sure the data is valid, and we open as much as public participation in updating the data of the beneficiary. The community members can access the list of the name of the people who are the beneficiary of the social aid. And this data is also available in each of the village office, and we are welcome with the community proposal and also inputs. With this and by this, we can get integrated and accurate data so that the social aids can be channeled equally to poor people and the COVID-19 affected communities. With data collection, engaging with the community, we also save 1.98 billion rupiahs. And we can address the table data that has been the challenge in this implementation. Thank you. Back to you, Rudy.
Thank you so much. Clear examples. Indonesia always being a great actor in the open government scene. Actually, today, all the 3 awards for the Asia Pacific region in open government were given to Indonesian locals. So very exciting scenario. I'm going to move now to Minister Alcina Burgues to help us from the European, in this case, the Catalonia perspective. What have you done regarding this, and a little bit to share your thoughts, Minister Burgues, regarding this COVID response and the importance of openness in the context of making a participatory approach to that response to the pandemic?
Thank you so much, Rudy. Really a pleasure to see you online. And also I wanted to say thank you to my colleagues. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to share this panel. And I should say here that when the pandemic started, I was still in the academia because I spent the last 15 years researching about those topics. Now I'm on the government side. Right now I have that feeling that you need to put in practice what you have been recommending for a decade. So let me just share with all of you that I think that the pandemic gave us the best incentive possible that we can have to really promote the values connected to open government. And it is precisely the need to have new inputs of information that can only come from citizens, open data, and collaboration. So I think that something, and I will jump into Catalonia in a few seconds, but I think that something that we have seen around, it was that governments needed more information, and they did three different things. So first of all, they tried to congregate experts to solve some questions, and we see a lot of smarter crowdsourcing examples around the world of groups of experts that met together. We also have a lot of experiences around open data, and I think that we are going to talk more about that later on. But open data is also a field in which we moved forward in a lot of dimensions. We also find participation practices that try to collect information at the citizens level. And a lot of those, I should say, that are bottom up. So governments incentivized a few, but also the civil society started to do that. And finally, we see, of course, a lot of public-private collaboration experiences trying to build hospitals or build ventilators or solve more day-to-day problems. In Catalonia, in the case of COVID, I think that we have a few relevant examples to share with you. First of all, I should start saying that in terms of open data, the openness of health data really helped the government to have predictive models that allowed us to anticipate some restrictions or to plan the next steps. But I want to be concrete here, and I want to say that during this last year, we had 300,000 downloads of data sets related to COVID-19. So we really have some concrete examples about the fact that this was useful. And indeed, 26 of these data sets were open, and we allowed the reutilization of that data for other proposals that the civil society wanted to move forward. I think that one good example is the mobility associated risk map that it was elaborated by the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, one of the main facilities that we have. And I think that finally, an initiative that is also worthy to share with all of you is this bottom-up initiative, in this case, participation bottom-up initiative, that with the objective of building a clinical guide. So the Catalan National Health System built a clinical guide with the participation of patients that were suffering persistent COVID symptoms. So they used the patients to build that, clinical guide or book that help other patients to, to move forward and know what to do. So I think that the download of data sets, the reutilization of those data sets, and this clinical guide are three clear examples of what happened in Catalonia.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those interesting examples. Yeah, we will talk about this a little bit later. But let me just get into our second round of questions, where we are going to talk about gender and equality. And this is a very long issue in the context of action plans, particularly to make them inclusive, to make sure that the divides, that we close and bridge those divides in order to make sure that everyone is at the table. This comes in a moment where we are living a revolution around the world on feminism. And I want to talk to you to help us think about this issue from your different perspectives. So I'm going to start with Secretary Barraquer. We know that Mayor Lopez's administration has been a vocal advocate of anti-corruption and equality, having recently launched an anti-machismo hotline. Do you find any natural synergies between the open government values and the feminist approaches to governance?
Por supuesto que sí. Creemos que no hay ninguna duda en ello. Nosotros reconocemos que
Yes, I see connection because women can offer more critical perspective, which has brought some changes to the notion of open government. And I think that that is what has happened in many countries.
y que se incluya dentro de ese concepto de participación.
Because we need to promote more pragmatic and realistic and transparent participation. And feminism has helped change our perspective, especially when it comes to equality.
Un modelo de gestión pública, algo que implica cambios muchísimo más.
Therefore, when you think about the public governance model,
efectivo,
I believe that women's participation can bring about more substantial results, and this will help realize a more democratic society. So I think that our understanding of democracy and open government has changed, partly thanks to the participation of women in this process. Therefore, in order to create a more equal society within the framework of democracy and within our society, we need to empower women, and we need to make sure that there's more women participation. Otherwise, the value of open government cannot be achieved.
necesarios para modificar esas relaciones.
Therefore, in order to realize the value of open government, we need to change the status of women and the role of women, and to have a more democratic society, we need to engage all members of our society, including women. So in our government, we focus on co-creation and transparency. And this actually also means that we need to help women lessen their burden on child rearing, because they have been burdened with this responsibility to raise children. And to do that, we need to develop a different perspective on our society. So we need to promote gender equality.
Barraquer, for those remarks. Let's move to Steph Mushai. Steph, help us understand a little bit of the challenges in the Africa MENA region. What are you seeing regarding emerging opportunities and challenges for women in the region? I have to admit, I have to say this very transparently to all of you. When we put together this panel, it was really hard for us to find mayors, women. We don't have that many. We have fantastics, but not that many. Help us think a little bit and take a look into Africa, Steph, on challenges and opportunities.
I think one of the main challenges in the region, but I believe it's experienced globally as well, is during the pandemic, women have experienced a disproportionate domestic work burden. And this is with balancing financial and work responsibilities as well. I think it's both an opportunity and a challenge, because many women are facing challenges adding to their plate, so to speak, with regards to taking up leadership opportunities, or even just getting into the space to support proper articulation of the issues and how open government approaches can positively influence pandemic priorities and engendered approaches to policy making and practices at this time. So it's not the only challenge, but it's been a key challenge that has been faced in the region, especially in a context where a lot of the cultural systems support kind of this disproportionate work burden. I think for voice and platform for women leadership in this season, I think OGP's emphasis on tech and innovation, I think can really help. And for women leadership, and by women leadership, I mean both formal and informal women's leadership. This includes leadership of movements, informal networks, and women living in rural areas who may not have access to the formal leadership structures and may have access to low-tech options in their areas, just to give voice and a platform for both formal and informal leadership as well. So I think that will be a key part of that. And I think that we know the importance of that is that lowering poverty rates, a big part of working on lowering poverty rates is seeing societies who are more inclusive. They have political and economic equality that is happening and enabling more inclusion. We are seeing some addressing the needs of marginalized groups, including women. And when I say women, I mean women with disability, young women, women that live in rural areas, because we're not homogenous and we have different needs. So there are efforts to support women in the things that may keep them in terms of not participating in kind of the societal conversation and the societal engagements in this area. I think there have been economic challenges with regards to access to economic opportunities and a focus on that. You know, it's very difficult to think about the bigger picture when you're dealing with bread and butter issues and when you're dealing with your day-to-day issues to be able to come forward. But I think now more than ever, it's important for both the informal and formal women leadership to support an articulation of the needs in the policy making, in the information dissemination for those that have sort of working knowledge in different areas like law or business or whatever they might be, is to come forward and support other women to be able to better understand the processes, the opportunities, and the role of transparency, participation, innovation in doing that. So those are the challenges and the opportunities that I see. I think it's difficult to isolate to a region at this time where the pandemic is really showing that our challenges are really shared. They're not unique to a region. The manifestation might look different, but by and large, I think we do have shared challenges in that area.
Thank you, Steph. And yeah, articulation being always one of the things that we need to get better now. And I think the pandemic has shown how important and how much we have failed in terms of cooperation internationally in many grounds. But it's one relevant point. Let's go to Regent Prijanti, which she's actually the first woman to hold this position ever in Breve's Regency. Regent Prijanti, can you help us think a little bit on what are the enabling conditions that you see important and necessary for women, meaningful engagement on both leadership and participation in both fronts, right? Because both are different, have their own challenges. What are you seeing? And help us understand a little bit this.
Terima kasih, Rudy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rudy, for creating the participations for the women's, which is for creating a meaningful participation for the women's. We need to fulfill the term and condition apply. We have to open the participation space and room. So we have to create the room first, opening the opportunity, and also providing an inclusive programs for everyone, especially the women. The women need to have the equal access as the men. And representing the government of Brebes, we collaborate with the movement from the community. And we also do this program with multi-stakeholder. We involve everyone, not just only women. We involve everyone, the student, the community, everyone from the school, from the motherhood associations, for children, for teenager, adults, elders, everyone have to join these programs. And we also implement this kind of open opportunity and collaborative programs for everyone. With the effort that we held since 2019, we recognize as a region that children friendly. And then we also being recognition in Parahita, Ika Praya. So this will be the main category as the example of a best regency that have children-friendly environment in the regency. We also open the participation to the women in terms of development programs. In the Brebes Regency, all women is collaborate. They're participating actively on the governance at the village level and also on the regency level. We involve the women groups that become the agent of health to support the programs of vaccination of the COVID-19. So they will help us to implement this vaccination program to achieve coverage, full coverage. And response to the COVID-19, we really happy because 89 to 894 elders were successfully vaccinated. And then in the Brebes Regency, we also hope that we could do collaboration with multi-organizations and empower more women to be participate on the programs, and they're able to have the access on the leadership. I hope, like me, I'm a woman. So as the region of Brebes, I could inspire more women to be part of the leadership of a nations. Thank you so much, Rudy. Over to you.
Thank you very much for those remarks, Rich and Prijanti. I will get back to you. I want to ask you also about why did you want to become a leader? But we will get back to that. Let me go to Minister Alcina Aburgas, and I'm going to ask you to wear again your academic hat and your experience previously to your position, but then bridge it. Because let's one of the big themes in OGP in the last 10 years has been open data. No, the relevance of designing policy through data that it's available and represents everyone. So help us understand a little bit about the role of open data and gender equality, the opportunities, because this is, I think, one relevant case for open data to make sure that data reflects everyone when you are using it for delivering policy, which is something that today is not happening.
Thank you so much for this question. So this will be one of the main focuses that we will have the forthcoming years here, precisely open data. And we will do that in the framework of two different projects. And you will see that in both of them, we incorporated a gender dimension to be able to segmentate all the data sets and information. So first of all, one thing that we will be following, it will be precisely the set of commitments that we have been preparing as part of the Open Government Partnership Action Plan. So that will be something that we will continue. And the second thing is a project that we have that we call Catalonia, a Land of Data. That's a project that focuses on promoting public-private collaboration for data sharing. So that's a project that through that we want to accomplish 1 million registers if we compile public, private, and civic data in 2022. And we will focus in some particular areas, but here the fact is that we want to create all the mechanisms and incentives to be able to promote this data collaborative project. So in terms of the gender approach, in both projects, what we are doing is to incorporate the identification of data sets and indicators that are key to make that possible. So the sources of data and the indicators that we need to analyze that data in all the data sets that we have, and also the geolocation in real time of that data, because that helps also for a lot of public policy planning. Another dimension that we incorporate is that we try to find data that is available at the municipal level, because this gives us a lot of comparative approaches in terms of what we want to understand. And finally, we also are planning to launch a campaign, a communication campaign, in terms of incentivizing the gender dimension in all data sets. So I think that one interesting conversation that we had not long time ago, a few weeks ago, it was an event that we call Café amb Dades, Coffee with Data. And these are events that, as you know, we use to cover different topics, and the 6th event that we promoted in that regard, it was precisely focused to better understand this data and gender equality. So to make a long story short, we have the OGP plan and we have the Catalonia Land of Data, in which we will segmentate all data sets when possible, following this gender dimension. But of course, because we cannot do that alone, we need to incentivize municipalities and we need to find comparable data. So we will be working also in that regard. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for those remarks. I couldn't agree more. The need, again, going back to Steph's concept of articulation, participation in data, we are still using different rulers to measure things, and until an open data can be a great ally for that measurement, to making sure that it's more equal to everyone. I have to say, we are doing quite good with the time. We still have a few minutes to go, but we're going to enter into the third part of the conversation. And thank you very much. And one message: if you want to make a question to any of the panelists, you can use the hashtag OGP Summit, OGP Local on Twitter, and the team will get questions. If we have some time to make those questions, we will bring it to the panelists. Let's enter into the last section of questions, and we are going to be talking here about action plans, right? Catalonia, Bogota, Breves Regency have done their first action plans as members of OGP in the context of OGP, and we want to know a little bit more about this. So let me start again with Secretary Barraquer. In Bogota, one of the commitments in your new action plan seeks to increase women's social and political participation as well as representation. What are some of the most prominent barriers that women face when it comes to civic and political participation in Bogota? And how can open government facilitate approaches for women and other, of course, gender minorities in Bogotá?
Nosotros reconocemos, en Bogotá nosotros reconocemos que persisten esas barreras.
In Bogota, we recognize that there are several barriers to women's participation. So in our action plan, one of the key factors is to increase women's participation. So that includes political participation. And so far, we seem to have some stereotypes and bias about the role of women. So unless we have some significant changes to our perception, there will be lack of equal opportunities for women. And women are burdened with house chores and childcare responsibilities, and women have to spend quite a lot of time fulfilling these responsibilities, and as a result, they may not be able to be guaranteed economic and financial independence. So, as we recognize these challenges, we often see that women are not, it is difficult for women to develop their capabilities and pursue their career because of these fixed perceptions. And also, women are often exposed to potential violence. And there is this male dominant hegemony in our society. And because of this, women are often victimized and they fall victim to the male dominant society and its hegemony. So sometimes female voices are neglected, they're not received. And so many times women's voices are not fully heard. And as the moderator mentioned, it is not easy to find female mayors. But we have some wonderful female leaders in our society, and such strong female leaders are good role models. And in this, there was this local OGP, local awards, and in our city government, more than 50% of city government officials need to be taken up by women. That is our goal, because in the past, local government officials were mainly male, but now we need more female representation and more female officials.
Super interesting. We are hearing these reforms, this way to think about policy, and in such a different way. Super exciting what is happening in Bogota. Really, thank you for sharing. Let's move to Steph. Steph, I'm going to hack the question that I was going to do originally, because I wanted to hear your thoughts about the opportunities that action plans bring regarding equality and regarding, in this case, the fight of the pandemic is a great opportunity to bring civil society, which in many cases, as part of the response, were not included. No, their voices were shut, and many challenges are still there. So my question to you would be, what are you seeing that you recognize as valuable on bringing civil society and using action plans for response to the pandemic? And what things you would like to see that you are not seeing today that could be implemented through an action plan process?
I think the biggest difference that I'm seeing is the collaboration of civil society to provide public goods and services that perhaps the local governments have not been able to provide, either due to budgetary issues or lack of proper prioritization or other things. And civil society is better able to quickly mobilize themselves to be able to provide this in partnership with the local governments based on kind of their data and a combined data. So in the example, for example, of gender-based violence that we talked about earlier, or economic disempowerment, is them coming up with local governments and, for example, setting up centers or places for free legal assistance and legal aid to women that are going through these issues, and disseminating the issues, the remedies and the opportunities for remedies as well. So the partnership with civil society in provision of public goods and services, and partnering to identify the action plan commitments and priorities, just because a lot of governments are understandably caught up in the response of the pandemic and in public goods and services. And a lot of that is the priority at the moment. So the civil society is coming alongside and saying, yes, we do need the health provision. We do need all the things that you're responding to, but these are kind of the societal issues that are being faced, and coming in partnerships to support that public, that delivery of the services, even as they do their work of accountability and ensuring that the local governments are moving in the direction that they do. So the key thing is kind of putting down our stakes, putting down our differences to be able to partner, use both our resources together to be able to address the issues that are limiting inclusion, participation, and also the issues of harm that many women are facing at this time. That would be my key observation.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you so much. Let me move now, minding of time, to Regent Brillanti. Part of your new action plan involves a commitment on integrating participatory approaches into their social welfare data. As many local governments without too much practice in data around the world, the pandemic has accelerated looking into the data to take decisions. So how has the pandemic impacted the social welfare system in Breves and your data collection process? How this has been improved and pushing the government actually to make a commitment regarding this issue?
Terima kasih, Rudy.
Thank you very much, Rudy, for the questions. One of our commitment as the new member of the local OGP is that integrated the society data by inclusive and also collaborative, and it's part of the response of COVID-19. We make the Sabang Pansos platform that accessible for the society. This is made and create and designed to improve and collect the accurate data. And then we have the social support from the government and accurately validated, and the numbers are accurate, the work quality is accurate, and also the administrations were smooth as well. As we're able to address the COVID-19 pandemic has changed many things. One of the important is exactly the welfare data. It's impacted quite massive. Before, the social data that we have in the Breves hasn't been integrated at all. We still do everything manually, but because of the pandemic, we move fastly to make it online, to make it more responsive and inclusive as well. And we expect with this accelerations, we're able to compile the accurate data and also provide the accurate data. And we're going to make it into one integrated umbrella. So the data will only source into one umbrella and everyone able to access it from one source. This is exactly the program and collaborative with the civil society. And then we do this movement, what we call as the collaboration of Gebrak, is also support with the cross multi-sectors. And also we conduct media link. We also assign a CSO, special task force with the local OGP. They exactly supported this integrated social data through the Tambang Pansos platform. This is exactly the program that we implemented and ongoing progress since the beginning, and also monitoring and evaluations. And these synchronizations for the data through the Sambang Pasos achieved 85.15%, successfully help us to correct it 916 of register that eligible to receive the social support. After that, we also continue to the data synchronization and also to give the social support program to the correct targets. So it wouldn't be given to people who are not eligible to receive the support. That is exactly the effort that we do currently in the Brebes. Over to you, Rudy.
Thank you very much for sharing the example, Region Brillanti. It's for everyone into the action plans of Catalonia, of Bogota, and Breves Regency, please go to the OGP website where you can find these commitments, but also you can find different trackers to follow up how these ideas, these examples that were shared by these leaders today are happening in the ground, right? Because it's easy to speak, but we have to see concrete results. So last question, and basically to close up this this panel, Victoria, Minister Alsina, sorry. I would like to ask you a little bit about one of the commitments in the last action plan of Catalonia that is regarding a very interesting territorial participatory model that you are including in one of your commitments, which is at the same time very exciting regarding Catalonia's long tradition in participation. So what can you tell us about this concrete territorial commitment that embrace different ways of participating or strengthening participation in Catalonia?
Thank you so much for your question. And I wanted to say something in the framework of the conversation that happened until now, that we should all keep in mind that citizens are not eager to participate all the time. So that's something that is not the case. So we need to make things easier for them, and we need to create different opportunities at the different stages of the law and policy making cycle, because some of them will be interested in contributing in the identification of the problems that we need to solve. Some of them will want to co-create solutions. Some of them will be more interested to the social auditing or evaluation of what happened, etc., etc. So I want to say that this is the starting point of the project that we crafted in that regard. So citizens are not eager to participate, as I said, and we need to be very careful in how we digest the information that they provided to us, and also in the type of feedback that we give them back, because that will conditionate how much do they want to participate in the near future. So with everything on mind and following a collective intelligence approach, right, that we want to use not only opinions and preferences, but also the ideas that they have, we understand that the key variable to make that happen is really to promote participation at the local level. And here what we have is an initiative that we call is part of the network Participa Lab. And what we are trying to provide is the infrastructure, the resources, and the assistance that the different municipalities need in order to move that forward. So here we have a program whose main goal is to use or to reuse all the public equipment that we have in the different parts of the country, public libraries, public spaces, etc., to really allow this participation to happen. So it's a double program, because on one hand, we want to provide the infrastructure, and on the other side, we want to incentivize the ecosystem around participation, because we have a couple of principles that articulate the program. One of them is public-private collaboration, how we need to interact with all the ecosystem of companies, open source platforms, and civic tech community that can help us to do that. And the other principle that we follow is experimentation and the need to do pilots. So just to sum up for you what this means, so following a public-private collaboration approach that tries to bring the civic tech community closer, and also promoting experiments, we will be moving forward a network that will facilitate participation at the local level using public equipments, and also making these connections with the civil society and the civic tech community. So to share with you a final idea in that regard, I think that a key piece of this is the training that we can also provide. And here we need to be sure that public officials become public entrepreneurs, because without their help, this is not going to happen.
Victoria, Minister Alsina, agree more with the vision, with the scaling up these capacities, right? To make everything we have been saying, the different examples, the inspiration, the data, the commitments, the different examples to scale, and it's being institutionalized, right? Which is the final objective. Minding of time, I had to close up this first part of this local panel. So sorry that we couldn't have time for making questions. I have my own to make to you, but I'm sure that your leadership on especially in the case of local, we will call you back again to speak with us. I think this has been a lot of real world examples from your own also personal experience, helping us to understand the role of the local level in this case, which is absolutely brand new in OGP. In the way we are tackling now the program, we are really looking into the local level in quite a different way with all these experiences. So thank you very much, General Secretary Margarita Barraquer from Bogota. Thank you very much for your time. I know that none of you have it, so thank you in the name of OGP. Thank you to Itza Brillanti, Regent of Breves Regency, for participating today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steph Mushai, again, Director of Partnerships International Lawyer Project and member of our steering committee. Thank you, Steph, always for being there. And to the Minister Victoria Cena Aburgas, Ministry of Foreign Action and Open Government of Catalonia, and a champion, I would say, in public innovation globally for many of us who has been following her. Thank you to the four of you for being here today. It was a challenge to get 4 women live from all OGP regions today, and we made it today. Thank you very much for your time today. All right, and we are going to continue. This is not over. Please bear with me. We are saying goodbye to the leaders, but we are going to continue with this final part of the session. And let me give you an invitation. Tomorrow, we are going to have two interesting community dialogues on local, if you're interested. One regarding climate change and local action on open government. And we will have also community dialogue regarding innovation labs and open government. That's tomorrow. But let me now move to, as I was saying, OGP Local started with a group of pioneers locals. Let me share with you some remarks from the heads of government of Buenos Aires, Jalisco, Kaduna, and the Basque Country for this panel.
Hola, soy Horacio Rodríguez Larreta, jefe de gobierno.
Hello, I am Horacio Rodriguez. I'm the mayor of Buenos Aires. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you to the steering committee. It is an honor to participate alongside my peers. And in the last 5 years, being part of this partnership allowed us to promote actions to open data and public information, as well as accountability in issues ranging from public works in the city, transportation policies, education, gender, and more recently, our climate action plan. In addition, in many cases, it allowed us to generate co-creation instances with citizens, civil society, academia, and the private sector. This year, we launched our 3rd Open Government Action Plan in order to advance the opening of information in the 3 powers of the state, the empowerment of citizens for the use of public data, and a participatory diagnosis on the access to rights of the LGBTQI community. We reaffirm our commitment to face the challenges that the present and the future pose to cities in an increasingly collaborative, open, and innovative way.
Desde Jalisco, agradecemos la oportunidad de...
From Jalisco, we appreciate the opportunity to participate in the 7th Global Open Partnership Summit, and we join with great joy in the celebration of the first 10 years of the OGP. For us, it is very pleasant to share with you that we have recently approved our 3rd local action plan, with which we reaffirmed our commitment to the local exercises of the open government partnership, as well as to the objectives of this international agenda. For this 2021, the vision of our open government exercises required a deep analysis of the challenges we face, including the fight against this pandemic that has changed our lives. And under this scenario, with the experience obtained in the 2 previous action plans, we decided to consolidate the work previously carried out in the open government agenda and continue motivating the institutions towards the government opening. With the implementation of this 3rd plan, new elements will be strengthened and incorporated into digital platform created by our Congress that allows social involvement in the creation and modification of laws. In addition, the executive power will carry out the harmonization, unification, and control risks of corruption in the operating rules of social programs. In addition, the state judicial branch will create an annex to the verdict, which with a clear, simple, and understanding drafting will make its content known, aimed at groups in conditions of vulnerability. With this, we seek to set a precedent in the open government exercises, not only in Jalisco, but in Mexico by promoting the permanence of these actions and maintaining the synergy that has been generated between our society and the government, strengthening democracy and retaining the progress that have so far been conquered.
Gobernu irekirako aliantzako kide agurgarriak. Duela 3 urte, Euskadi Basque Countryk Open Government Partnership sarean parte hartzeko hautagaitza aurkeztu zuen. Harrezkero, erakunde publikoen eta gizarte zibil antolatuaren konpromisoa gero eta handiagoa izan da gure artean. Hilabete honetan bertan sortu dugu eragile anitzeko foro bat, 2030 agendaren eta garapen iraunkorreko 17 helburuen ezarpenari bultzada berri bat emateko. Euskadi Basque Country aitzindaria da konpromiso honetan. Estamos avanzando juntos a través de la escucha activa y la colaboración. La evaluación del primer plan 2018-2020 ha sido positiva. Hemos creado una herramienta de rendición de cuentas públicas, un modelo estandarizado para ofrecer información pública a través de las plataformas Open Data Euskadi y Linked Open Data, el proyecto ILAB para impulsar la participación ciudadana y el modelo Open Escola, escuela abierta para la ciudadanía. Queremos seguir aprendiendo, innovando y aplicando lo aprendido a las políticas públicas. Nuestros compromisos con el nuevo Plan de Acción 2024 son diseñar un observatorio de datos para situaciones de pandemia, desarrollar una herramienta para la transparencia presupuestaria que facilite la consulta y comprensión de la ciudadanía, capacitar a gestores públicos y ciudadanía para promover una comunidad más activa, abierta y dispuesta a participar, generar una herramienta para aglutinar las iniciativas legislativas populares y crear un servicio de información, orientación e intermediación que ayude a generar proyectos de vida de las personas mayores desde un enfoque de vida plena. El nuevo plan de acción es un desafío que se basa en la experiencia, el conocimiento y las propuestas de la ciudadanía. Lo acometemos con decisión, ambición e ilusión. En lengua vasca contamos con un término para expresar este trabajo en pos del bien común, auzolana. Elkarrekin egiten dugu aurrera entzute aktiboaren eta auzolanaren bidez. Jaso ezazue Euskadi Basque Countryren izenean gure agurra eta gure eskerrona aliantzaren eta kide guztien lanagatik. Auzolana da bidea, eskerrik asko.
In 2016, we joined the Open Government Partnership out of the desire to strengthen our commitment towards promoting fiscal responsibility, access to information, and citizens' engagement. So far, we've implemented several open government initiatives that have earned us accolades at home and abroad. One of the highlights of such recognition was the nomination of the Kaduna State Government as one of the pioneer members of the Open Government Partnership Global Leadership Network, following our innovation in citizens' engagement through the EYES and YES project. The state considers its 2021 to 2023 OGP commitment areas as veritable platforms for building on the successes of the first action plan by further strengthening reform initiatives across sectors. As I said in one of my recent speeches, and I quote, "We intend to finish our tenure as strongly as we started." It is very important at this point to reaffirm our resolve to achieve this within the principles of the OGP and our mantra of putting people first. The Kaduna State Open Government Partnership Action Plan 2021 to 2023 has provided 5 commitment areas, namely open budgeting, open contracting, citizens engagement, strengthening social protection, and improving service delivery in education and healthcare. Accordingly, relevant ministries, departments, and agencies have been mandated to prioritize the implementation of activities in these commitment areas. It is important to highlight that we have given special priority to health and education sectors, and we are committed to improving the lives of those who are poor and vulnerable or living with disability. These citizens' conditions have worsened due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are committed to strengthen the institutions that will protect and cater for them. The civic space in Kaduna is one of the most active in the country, and the quality of engagement has been cordial and productive. And this is evident in the co-creation of commitments and implementation of action plans. We will continue to broaden the civic space and engage with citizens on all fronts to improve their trust in government. I will conclude by saying that the commitments of our new action plan are so important as they focus on the policy direction of the government. We will maintain focus and ensure the timely achievement of our milestones on each commitment area. We have been open from the beginning. By the grace of God, we can only get better. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much. And we are moving now to the final section of this local leaders roundtable, which is, as we announced today in the plenary, we have announced the names of the winners of the Local Innovation Awards. And we are going to hear now from 4 different OGP regions and from different of winners: Plateau State in Nigeria, Bogotá in Colombia, West Sumbawa in Indonesia, and Kelemenseski in Ukraine. From the winners, let's hear them out. Thank you very much.
When Plateau State signed up to make a global commitment to accountability and transparency through the Open Government Partnership local program, our major motivation was the opportunity that such pressure or vulnerability will create towards improving the impact of government's development programs on the residents and citizens of the state. I speak on behalf of my colleagues in government when I say that this nomination for the Spotlight Award has made it a rewarding journey thus far. However, we are quite aware that the work is just beginning. In the last 1 year or so, we have engaged with civil society in more strategic ways than before, beginning with the application for the OGP local membership in 2020 to the co-creation process of developing the state action plan this year. It has been a learning curve for all of us. It is exciting and fulfilling to be receiving this award on behalf of both government and civil society from Plateau State OGP. Our commitment to the extractive industry transparency is simple. We will set up the Plateau State Extractives Forum, which is the first of such effort at the subnational level to ensure transparency for communities, and doing this in a manner that ensures environmental issues are tackled and economic growth is experienced by local communities where these minerals are being derived from.
Plateau State is a mineral-rich state that has not benefited economically from this natural endowment. Often, conversations on extractives focus on oil revenue, even though, historically, the mining of non-oil extractives predates oil exploration. The macroeconomics of oil revenues means that communities where local mining activities happen gradually took the back seat. The result of this has been environmental degradation and an increase in social ills. Fortunately, today, We have the Nigeria Minerals and Mining Act 2007 that governs the non-oil extractive sector in the country. This commitment by Plateau State will be leveraging that act, which is designed to ensure that communities do not suffer and that they also experience microeconomic growth through revenues derived from mining activities. The plan for delivering on this commitment is to ensure the domestication and full implementation of the provisions of that act, working closely with the Nigerian Extractives Industry Initiative and using the data that they gather to inform decision-making. This will ensure that delivery on this commitment happens in a transparent manner so that no community is left behind. We will push to ensure that the States Forum set up by the federal government is more effective than it has been so far. The civil society actors will also work to ensure more active participation for communities affected by mining activities. And it is our hope that other states facing similar challenges learn from our process as well.
The Plateau State OGP, on behalf of the government and civil society in the state, is calling on all stakeholders and well-wishers, both locally and internationally, to join in the efforts towards the implementation of our commitment on extractive transparency. This commitment will also use the civic tech platform that is being redesigned on the citizens' engagement commitment as well. We look forward to an exciting journey together with all our existing and potential partners as we implement these commitments and watch the lives of our citizens improve thereby. Hopefully, we'll be back here at the end of our current action plan period to share the story of the impact of our commitments. Finally, on behalf of the Governor of Plateau State and all the state OGP implementers, we congratulate the global OGP community on this 10th anniversary. Thank you.
En Colombia, desde el año 1900.
In Colombia, since 1991, healthcare is considered a right. Despite the state is responsible, citizens play a fundamental role too. And it is that in a democracy, social participation is, in a few, inherently linked to the fulfillment of the other, health. Since the empowerment of citizens, it's a clear coincidence on decisions concerning them generates positive transformations in the state and strengthens democracy. Aimed at that, the government of Bogota wanted to streamline the public administration and the procedures that we carry out in order to put citizens in the core of our management. We set ourselves the goal of building a Bogota region with an open and transparent government as well as municipal towns. For our sector, we designed a territorial healthcare model and a strategy through which people participate in it. Today, we present this strategy. TIPS Bogota, Territories for Innovation and Participation in Healthcare. TIPS Bogota is born from three questions. First being how to massively involve citizens in the healthcare structures. Second being how to qualify citizen participating in this process. And third being how to give a leading role to citizens in the construction of this new social environmental contracts in the caregiver sector. At TIPS Bogota, more than 20-30 years of participation has been grounded in this, in which the citizens reaching decision-making can participate. Create these mechanisms allowing a better interaction one another between the government and citizens in order to do it collectively. This is an open government initiative that aims to strengthen the public innovation strategies and social participation in the healthcare sector in Bogota, consolidating organizations and advocacy, recognize the diversity of territories and knowledges, increasing public trust, and strengthening multiple initiatives to respond to a diverse interests and requirements of the population in Bogota. TIPS Bogota is the strategy to promote social change. It is composed of 3 programs: Care Promoters, which was born to establish a healthcare culture, is massively underfunded in Bogota, gathering shopkeepers, delivery people, taxi drivers, and us. We carry the care message to all. The second program is the Healthcare's Social Innovation. This Healthcare Social Innovation School is a flexible strategy that allows citizens to build up their own learning processes based on the needs and expectations of their territories. The third program is the project's co-creation, where citizens materialize their ideas, where they materialize their innovative and creative skills. We have 21 labs located in different localities where we provide solutions in coordination with citizens. These labs are co-creative spaces oriented to give responses to care needs. And we also offer a digital environment allowing interaction between citizens, opening spaces to tell the stories of the caregiver. Bogota. Tips. Bogota is important to citizens because firstly, it builds up a culture of care, to take care of us, to take care of our community, and take care of nature. The second reason is that it strengthens democracy. It boosts the decision-making power of citizens. It elevates their decision-making capacity. In third place, tips. Bogota could sow hope among our society. We invite you to meet TIPS Bogota strategy, where we are working hard at promoting democracy. And citizenry is increasingly mindful of taking care of life surrounding them.
Sebagai Bupati Sumbawa Barat, saya merasa sangat terhormat menerima Spotlight Award atas komitmen kami.
As the region of West Sumbawa, I am very honored to receive this honor. I am extremely grateful for the recognition because I am strongly convinced that every other candidate equally deserves to win this award.
Forum Yasinan ini merupakan akronim.
Yasinan Forum is an acronym for Forum of Pelayanan Setara Inklusif Andalan, which is regarded as the official channel for public complaints to close the feedback loop between the community and government in West Sumbawa Regency. The implementation itself of the forum was by the issue of the ineffectiveness of several issues like the complaint box and lab report application. All of those things is one direction and low public participation. Yasinan Forum is held once a week on every Friday night, where a community can express their comments and complain, and this responded and follow up immediately. Yasinan Forum is usually attended by various stakeholders, community leaders, regions and their ranks, head of physical agencies, policies, military district comments, regional people's representative council, head of village, mutual assistance agencies, and civil society organizations. Everyone who attends the forum will be considered as equal to sit together with the community so that everyone can freely express their aspiration. This forum was not only formed as a media to channeling complaints and aspiration, but also to monitor and evaluate the regional development process so that the government can be more accountable in providing public services. In addition to being accountable, this forum has also encouraged openness because the community can immediately be aware of development report in West Sumbawa and take part in controlling the solution to be implemented through this mechanism. Since 2015, this Yasinan Forum has been proven to have significantly increased the community's trust in the government. First, the second is to increase the community participation at the regional level. And third, encourage collaborative work in the field. With these 3 things, the local government is capable of fulfilling the basic right of the community appropriately and reducing poverty levels, increasing the Human Development Index, seeking to deal with the impact of natural disaster more quickly, implementing protection and social empowerment effectively without any complaints, and others, including the latest proud achievement by Sumbawa Regency, West Sumbawa Regency, as the first regency that successfully completed the 5 pillars of community-based total sanitation. Finally, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all stakeholders, government officials, civil society organizations, and obviously the West Sumbawa community who have been dedicated and committed to realizing this Yasin forum. Therefore, I can proudly lift this award as a sign of our achievement together. Thank you.
Last fall, we became partners with OGP Local. The authorities, together with the public, have developed and approved an action plan for the implementation of the Open Government Partnership Initiative for 21-22 in the Khmelnytsky community. What goals do we set? We want to provide businesses and residents with quality municipal services using digital technologies. Our goal is to manage community resources rationally. The open access to information about them is crucial for this transparency of this process. To do this, in December next year, the City Council will completely switch to electronic document management. Moreover, we will make 100% of municipal services available to citizens and businesses online. But this alone is not enough. Residents need to be taught how to use them. That's why next year we will launch libraries-based digital literacy training courses for community residents. We also want to fully formulate a green course action plan. We want our community's economy not only to grow, but also to be social, inclusive, and climate neutral. One of the first steps was the opening of Interactive Goofy Center. It aims to inform young and adult citizens about waste management and its impact on the environment. The action plan is expected to be completed in May next year. Its implementation will enable the city to agree on long-term development goals and demonstrate its commitment to the global green course agenda. This in turn will bring long-term investment in various sectors of the economy. Thanks for attention and welcome to Khmelnytsky.